Good morning, everyone, and welcome to UCPS Policy Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 16th. I'd like to call this meeting to order, starting with the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up is approval of open session minutes from October 27th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving to policies for second review. First up is policy 3-7, prohibition against racism, unlawful discrimination, harassment, and bullying.
Good morning, everyone. There have been no proposed revisions to this policy since the last meeting, and staff is requesting this go for approval at the December meeting.
Any questions on 3-7? We'll do these at the end. Next up is policy 3-7A, sexual harassment employee.
There's been no revisions since the last meeting, and staff is requesting that this go for approval at your December board meeting.
Any discussion? Next, go to 3-19, administration of medication.
Okay, and this sound like a broken record. This one again, no proposed revisions, and recommending that this go for approval at the December meeting.
Any discussion? Next, 4-17 or 4-7,
I'm sorry. This is the companion policy to 3-7. And this one, there's been no proposed revision since the last meeting, and staff would request that this go to the board for approval at the December meeting.
Any discussion? I think we have the same for the next one, 4-7A, sexual harassment students.
Yes, this is the companion policy to 3-7A, and there's been no proposed revisions, and staff would request that this go for approval at the December meeting.
Brings us to policy 4-13, school assignment.
Okay, finally, I have something different to say. Under this section, we have both the policy and the administrative guidelines for your review. When we were going through the administrative guidelines and kind of the current practices, it seemed that there needed to be some revisions. So we've made some proposed policy changes to the policies as well. The ones that were since the last meeting are in blue font. And those are related to essentially the addition of the online platform as opposed to the paper application for a transfer process, as well to clarify the interpretations the board and staff have used in the past that in order to apply for a transfer or enroll in a lottery, you must be a currently enrolled student in Union County Public Schools. So those are the significant changes, as well as changing the title of both of these from school assignment to student assignment. So you're conforming with the Office of Student Assignment and the policies that relate to that department. And then changing the word magnet in the policy to special program schools, because that's how we refer to them in this district. Any questions or concerns? I'm glad to go through those.
Page, I don't even know what page I'm on. Hold on. Maybe 3 petitions for transfer outside the assigned area shall be completed through, do you see where I'm through the district?
Yep.
On the online, is it transport or transfer?
It should be transfer. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, that was it.
Any other discussion? Finally, we have policy 5-20, computers, networks, and related technology.
This, like the others, there have been no proposed revisions since the last meeting, and staff is requesting that this go for approval at the December meeting.
All right, so this will go to the full board is in December?
Yeah, I guess 7 of these would go for review or for approval at the December meeting of the board. And the administrative guidelines to school assignment would go for review, but all the board does is review those that one time.
Okay.
I have another question. When are we going to talk about the administrative guidelines to 4-13?
We can talk about those right now with 4-13. I put them in the agenda together based on a previous request of the board to have those, use them both, but we can
Okay.
separate it or put them together.
Okay, I'm sorry. My question. So on page 2 at the bottom, we're talking about a rising kindergarten student who has an older sibling in the dual language program at either Marvin or Kensington will be allowed to transfer into that school. We do not have room at Kensington to do anything like that, or Marvin, to be honest with you. We cannot keep putting kids into schools that aren't assigned to that school. We cannot keep doing it. I don't know what else to say. Both schools are over 100% of capacity. And I think that Kensington is 137% of capacity. And I just, why are we doing this? I mean, there should be no kids outside of the assigned attendance thing going to Kensington right now. I mean, at the beginning, if we did it before, we can't stop it, but we can't keep doing it.
Due to the population.
This was added last year for this current school year because we didn't have necessarily the DLI program for the rising kindergartners. So it was allowing them to get there so that then they could be in the DLI once it reopened. But if we don't want to do that anymore.
I guess my question for Dr. Houlihan and Mrs. Garner is, are we allowing students from outside of the assigned school area to go to Kensington and Marvin? If the answer is yes, we need to stop it.
I don't know specifically. I know in the past we have allowed that if there is space available and if there are seats available and there's a lottery for that. But I don't know specifically about this year. I think what I would ask is maybe we table that piece, Michelle, because we're also kind of evaluating specifically our Mandarin program as it is right now. If y'all remember, we could not find teachers that were going to be in available for kindergarten at either school. So I think this is a larger discussion that we need to have. And so we might want to just strike that piece for today and come back to it.
And I understand that this is part of our sibling policy kind of thing where we want families to stay together. I would think that we had we should have taken care of that last year. So would there still be more kids trying to get in under this policy, under this? Yes, there would be. In case they have more kids in a rising kindergarten coming in. I don't want to break up a family, but we've got to stop letting new kids out of the assigned school thing into Kensington and Marvin. It's just, they're both.
I think
Can
Yeah, I
we
think the
just
other-
make it?
Sorry, I think the other part of that conversation was last year, remember, our kindergarten enrollment was down across the board and we didn't really know what to expect for the current year. So I think we need to probably evaluate all of this before we just move it forward, maybe.
One recommendation I would make is just put it in policy that siblings can't go to those schools unless it's, below 90% capacity.
That's what I would say.
Well, I think I don't mind if a sibling goes, but we need to stop letting kids out of the assigned thing when we're above 90%.
So I'm agreeing with you,
Yeah,
but I'm
okay.
putting a metric with
Okay.
it.
I'm good.
So,
And that goes for all of our dual language programs.
I guess it's
Weddington
just the
Elementary.
metric we have to agree on. Do we want to say 95%, 90, 85?
I mean, Weddington Elementary is another one of them that is at capacity.
And the dual language is a foothold, to be out of district to get into, Weddington or Kensington. So I think we need to, consider, a metric, a threshold that the siblings can attend, because I'm assuming that the siblings can't be there if they didn't start DLI in kindergarten. So the only way an upper level student could attend that school is if the capacity is below, I would say below 90% or less.
Your
But-
policy, the student assignment policy currently says, once a school reaches 95% capacity level as determined by the superintendent, no transfers will be approved by the administration except for transfers under the sibling and employee criteria and those required by law. So you already have that threshold in policy. I don't know
So we
if
just
that's,
need to add DLI to that.
Because this says a rising kindergarten student will be allowed to transfer into that school. So I think that, and I guess I'm fine with if there's more siblings of the kids who are already in the DLI program at Kensington and Marvin, they can go, but we don't, I just think we need to stop letting people into that program outside of the assigned school district.
yeah, and this provision is limited to those that have an older sibling in DLI. And then the rising kindergartner has to enroll and remain in it once it's open.
Right.
Now, we
Right.
can
And I'm saying
strike
going
the,
forward, yeah, I'm okay with siblings because we believe in the sibling policy, but I'm not okay for new kids who do not have a sibling in the program who get in to use it. Even if there's slots open, there's no slots open in the school as a whole, I would say.
right.
But we are going to have we can bring this back up later because Dr. Houlihan mentioned that we're going to talk about Mandarin at some time.
What I'll do at this point is remove the and 22-23 language and leave it that provision as it is for now. And then once we move forward, then we can look at it again. Because right now this expires at this, it's expired at this point.
When is
Okay, so
kindergarten
maybe I'm not clear.
registration open?
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with this language because this allows siblings to get in, but I'm talking about allowing outside of siblings people into the program, different thing.
Out of
I'm okay.
district, out of district.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I'm
Okay.
okay with this change because we believe that siblings should stay together. So I'm okay with adding the 22-23. We may not need
Okay.
it, but leave it in. But as a whole, we need a conversation about not letting more kids out of the school.
Dr. Houlihan, does kindergarten registration open in like January, February?
Yeah, historically, that's around the right time, beginning of February, I believe.
Okay, so Michelle, I would just say by January, we need to have this kind of figured out.
So
Yeah,
basically, I would like to see where only siblings can get into the kindergarten program if they're not already assigned to Kensington or Marvin or Weddington.
Kathy,
And I can certainly work with Stacy and Jessica on that to make sure from a practical standpoint that happens.
Okay.
and to be honest with you, we don't even have to single out schools by name if we have a metric.
You're right. You're right. The 90, what did we come up?
95% is in the
95%.
policy.
so what we're
Those are
saying
the
is
three,
if,
but those are the three that have the biggest population of DLI.
so what we're saying is if, for example, if Kathy and Michelle are sisters and they're going to Kensington, but I don't have any siblings, I just can't, gotcha, makes
Right.
sense.
Yes.
Okay,
Because we believe that siblings should be able to go to the same school.
Absolutely.
So they don't have
Gotcha.
to
Okay.
split up.
that makes a lot of sense. Yes, ma'am.
Now, if the kindergartner applies to DLI and gets a seat in DLI, then they're in,
They're in. Okay,
right? I mean, because kindergarten, but we're talking about siblings that are not in DLI.
There's siblings that are in DLI, but not assigned to Kensington as their elementary school. So let's say that Kathy went to Kensington, but she was assigned to Wesley Chapel. So she has Michelle as a younger sibling who can now go to Kensington if she does the Mandarin program.
But I thought the sibling would have to start DLI in kindergarten.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so if they get if they're participating in DLI, they can get in.
What?
If they
Under the current
participate in,
guidance, yes.
yeah, if they participate, as long as the sibling participates in DLI,
That's why I
they
was
can
saying
get
to
in.
leave this language here. Yes.
That's correct.
okay, it's the siblings that are non-DLI that cannot take a seat if they're out of district.
That's
This
correct.
says it has to be must enroll in the dual language program.
It's about the program, not the school.
And I think the bigger discussion, if I'm understanding what Kathy's saying, is looking at our DLI, even though there may be space capacity in the building or in the class, the DLI class, we look at the building capacity and not the programmatic capacity.
Exactly. So if the school's at 95 or above, then there's no capacity to let somebody out of the attendance.
That's going to be very tricky because the DLI program could die out if we don't have enough kindergartners entering the program. So, because we know through attrition by first, second, or third grade, that kindergarten class gets smaller. So yeah, we really need to look at those numbers because we can't risk the kindergarten classes getting too small.
Right.
We can't put more kids into the school. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but Kensington is at 130% of capacity.
I just think we need to look at the sixth grade levels, kindergarten through fifth grade. And I think between December and January, we need to know what each one of those grade levels are, because maybe the fourth and fifth grade class is too big right now and they're going to graduate out.
I would like to ask Ms. Garner to also tell us within each class how many kids are assigned to Kensington and some that are not assigned to Kensington.
And that may be, employees, transfers, DLI. We need to know all of that information.
So Michelle, is it your suggestion that we table this, or we're going to leave it in as
No,
is?
we're good.
now?
No, we're good with the language that she added because it's
Okay.
siblings of DLI students who would have siblings going to the DLI program in kindergarten. So I'm good with that.
I've got a note to work with Jessica and Stacy to give us information as to who lives outside of Kensington and Marvin attendance areas that are in DLI or on other transfers into those buildings.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
So we need a motion to send, I make a motion that we send policy 3-7, 3-7A, 3-19, 4-7, 4-7A, and 4-13 to the full board at the December meeting.
Second.
And I think you need 520 on there too.
And, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I said 520. Okay.
And along with the administrative guidelines as well, correct, Michelle?
Correct.
Yes, please.
4-13. All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up is policies for first review, starting with policy 4-14, student record.
Okay, 4-14 student records. These changes are related to law. And the most significant change in 4-14 is begins on page 5 of 14, and it enumerates access to videos and other records that are maintained, video, audio recordings, photos, and access to those as determined by the Department of Education is outlined herein. There was a typo at the top of page 16. The first full sentence, which is 3 lines down, said 15 a photo, and it should just say a photo. And I have fixed that on the version that's on board docs currently.
Do we need to have something added with parental consent? Like if this is going to be a student's permanent record, shouldn't there be an audio, video, or picture just to protect the district? Are you going to make sure that parental consent is signed on that student record?
Well, in order to view it, if this is for access for me to view my own child's records.
Okay.
And so if we've maintained, this is, for example, if there's video of a fight and I'm one of the students in the fight, I have access to that video. The way the law used to interpret was that I couldn't see it if the other parent wasn't okay with me seeing it. The Department of Education and FERPA has now clarified that to say, it doesn't matter if the other parent is okay with it or not. If I'm a part of the fight, I get to see the video. So that's the clarification that's in policy so that staff understands what they can do and how they can show the videos. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm responding to the question.
I just know that at the beginning of the school year, parents have to sign off if they're okay with their students being photographed or videotaped.
I'm sorry, yes, absolutely.
And so I didn't know if we needed to include language that's going to be in place for the student record.
We can add language that for that the media release will be and the photographic release will be signed annually. Absolutely, we can add that.
I mean, I would recommend that just to protect the district.
Sure. I'll add that and have it for review at the next meeting. And I'll try, let me see where to put it. In directory information, we define those kinds of photos. So let me see. If we look at page 8 of 14, number 10 is a photograph or digital image of students engaged in ordinary student activities. And I can add language after that that says a release will be provided for parent authorization on an annual basis. Does that sound
I like that.
correct?
Or yeah. Or school activities via the media consent. Just keep it short.
Okay. I will do that.
Is everyone else okay with that? Good with that? Because I don't know that parents remember to do that each year. And maybe that's their problem, not ours. I just want to make sure that we're okay having these in the student record and having that consent, especially if someone does view it. If we have that consent, then I think we're protected, but you're the lawyer, not me.
No, I'll add that language. That certainly is helpful language. Absolutely.
Any other discussion? Moves us to policy 5-26, electronically stored information retention.
Okay, Mr. Parker has been going through the policies related to tech services, and he has recommended the changes to this policy. I would like to say I understood it, but I don't. So hopefully if you have questions, I might be able to answer them. Staff would ask that this go for review at the December meeting also.
Any discussion?
No.
Last policy is 8-1, use of student transportation.
Yes, the changes in this policy, there's a minor change related to training that is now, it used to be as needed, but now it's required under law. And then we just added language under the disability section in accordance with applicable law and policy. Mr. Denton has reviewed these changes as well, and staff is requesting that this go to the board for review at the December meeting.
Any discussion?
No.
Entertain a motion to take policy 4-14 with modifications, policy 5-26 and policy 8-1 to full board on December 7th for first review.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up for discussion is school choice.
Okay, as you remember, we did not add any choice schools this current school year in an attempt to ensure that the pandemic hadn't artificially deflated our enrollment numbers. So under policy 413, school assignment, it says that students can apply for a transfer through lottery to any school in the district whose student population is no more than 85% of the capacity as determined by the district. And then it talks about how the superintendent and the board approve these or have the authority to identify these. I have put on this list every school that is at that 85% threshold or below. And that's the list that's attached. I also attached the capacity numbers that were provided to me from the facilities department. For the elementary schools, I used the with pre-K numbers because I wanted it to be as have it be as many bodies as we would have in the building so that we didn't overload those buildings.
Okay.
The highlighted schools on the list are the new ones. I removed Benton Heights. I'm not sure why Benton Heights was on there because that is a lottery school, so it wouldn't be a school choice.
Right.
As I said, I did hit those 85 threshold and below. There's a few schools that are right at that 85% threshold. Indian Trail Elementary, Porter Ridge Elementary, Sandy Ridge, Wingate Elementary, and Sun Valley High. I put those on the list just because I'm a rule follower and it says 85% and below.
Okay.
So they're here for your discussion.
Okay, so East needs to come off. Next year, if we get the bond that we want, we're going to be constructing a new East Elementary. So the least amount of students that we have in the building during all that would be the best. So I would ask to take that off. And Indian Trail Elementary School and Sun Valley High School, I would like to pull off. The amount of development that's going on in Indian Trail is over 6,000 single family units. And I think that it's going to continue to grow. So I would like to pull off Indian Trail and Sun Valley. Porter Ridge Elementary School is another one that I would like to pull off, the same thing. In their area, mostly in Popland, they have a lot of new developments that I'm worried about. And I would like to leave that so in case Popland needs to release some of that. So I'd like to pull off East, Indian Trail, Porter Ridge, and Sun Valley High School.
I have a question. How is a school determined to be a school of choice?
If it's 85% or lower in capacity.
That's the only requirement.
That's
the only requirement policy. Yep.
Okay.
And it can't be a special school like Benton Heights or CATA or any of those kind of things.
Gotcha. Okay. Special schools.
There was one other concern that the Porteridge Elementary principal did share with me yesterday, that she has 2 classes that are for day treatment. And so those numbers are very small in those classes by definition or legal requirements. And so her capacity numbers are not as high as one would imagine, because those classes can't hold a full cadre of students. So
Okay.
And that was which school?
Porteridge Elementary.
So Kathy, I agreed with everything you said, but I was thinking I'd like to keep Porter Ridge Elementary on there. I mean, it's going to be years and years before some of those developments are ready. And Poplin is only at 90%. So I would like a discussion about Porter Ridge.
So what did you feel
Elementary.
about Michelle's discussion about special classes taking up another, they have that day program there, that take up more classes that are not included in the capacity or the.
But those are really small numbers, and it's only at 84%. It's a newer school. So, I mean, we know that those can hold 100, 115, 120%, usually without any problems. Are there any mobile classrooms out there? There's 2 or 3, right? In the back?
I don't have that list with me.
That's okay.
MCRs. I think that the kids are the day treatment, Michelle, are included in the enrollment, correct?
Yes,
But
ma'am.
what you're saying is that their classrooms are small. They only have a few kids in
Yeah.
each of the classrooms, so that
They're
doesn't.
real tiny classes, I believe.
Yeah, I think they're topped at 6 or 8. I mean, they're very small.
But they're taking up classrooms so that
Right.
that
Mhm.
class, the other classes may be bigger.
Mhm.
Right. And she's saying she had 2 of those classrooms, and that was her concern.
So are we good with East Indian Trail and Sun Valley High School coming off?
Oh, yes. Porter Ridge was the only one I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
What was the principal's thought, Michelle? Was she saying she did not think the school should be school choice?
She's obviously a team player, so she'll go with whatever, but she had some concerns she had concerns that number didn't accurately reflect actually what's going on in her building, because those classes have to be so small.
Okay.
So she was basically saying she has about 40, or probably
More than fifth grade
30
class,
kids that she can't fit in there. So her numbers are artificially deflated.
By 8 kids?
It's the 2 classrooms that they take
So
up.
16 kids? Okay. Then I would say take it off, but I think it's a missed opportunity, but if she doesn't feel comfortable being a school choice, I just know it worked out really well for other schools in the area that are now off because they're now above 85%. So
So I just want to make sure I understand it. So let's say an elementary school has how many classrooms? Anyone? Let's say 50. Let's just use 50. So if two of the classrooms only house 6 students, so that takes it down to 48. And then that means that their classrooms have more in them than what a normal school has had that didn't have that program in it. Is that what you're saying, Michelle? Okay.
Yeah, that whereas the capacity looks at a full classroom of every classroom, these are not, in her perspective, are not considered. Now, I think that we take into account like the EC classrooms, but this is not considered an EC classroom. So I think that that's her concern, is that this is a different, a unique situation that only her school has.
Okay, I'm fine taking Porter Ridge off with that being said.
Okay.
Now, this won't be a permanent decision, will it?
Oh, we look at it each year.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Again, I think it's a missed opportunity for Porter Ridge Elementary, but if she doesn't feel comfortable or whatever, then I say take it off.
Okay.
So I've got that I'm taking off
Miss-
East, Indian Trail, Porter Ridge, and Sun Valley High.
Mhm.
Correct.
Michelle, with that, does that go to the full board with
We'll put this,
Since it's discussion item?
I can do it as a separate item, or I know last year I think we put it in the FYI materials. I can put it with the
You can put it on
actual,
consent, can't you?
I can put it, yeah, I was gonna say, I can put it on consent with the student assignment policy. Since this is a piece of that student assignment policy, I can put it right with that agenda item.
Under consent?
Yep.
All right, with that, actions to be taken to the full board, policies to go to the full board for second review are policies 3-7, 3-7A, 3-19, 4-7, 4-7A, 4-13, along with administrative guidelines, and policy 5-20. Policies to go to full board for first review, policy 4-14 with modifications, policy 5-26, policy 8-1, and then also to take to the full board under consent is school choice for 2022-23 school year.
Did we vote on the choice schools?
I was just gonna ask, since you're putting it on consent, can we
Okay.
have a motion on that?
Okay, do we have a motion with the modifications to take off Indian Trail, Porter Ridge, East Union, and Sun Valley?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion?
And I'm just clarifying, that was East Elementary, not East Union Middle, correct?
East Elementary, yep.
Yep. Okay,
Indian
just wanted to
Trail
clarify.
Elementary, Porter
Okay,
Ridge
I'm sorry, I marked the
Elementary,
wrong
and
one.
Sun Valley High School.
Good catch. I had marked the wrong one. All right, our next board meeting or next policy meeting will be December 14th at 8 a.m. and it'll be a Zoom meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.